Hi, welcome to Classic Car Cave, and back to 2023 we're into now. Thank you very much for your support over the last year. I really much appreciate it, and any comments or advice or tips that people have put in, which is really good. So this video really is about doing the rear lighting on the Citroen. Obviously the Citroen back has hinged sides and obviously a hinged backboard, so consequently if you let the board down and it came down, it would actually hit the lights if they weren't flush into the bodywork. So what I've done is I've actually made a box section, which is what I'm showing in this video. I think the Americans call it French lighting or French, yeah, whatever the expression is, but basically it just means the lighting's recessed. So the license plate and the lights are going to be recessed in there, which you'll see in the video. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you'll come back and watch some of the other stuff that we're doing on the Citroen. And in the next week we will be changing around the XK150, the Jaguar XK150 onto the ramp and bringing the Citroen round into the main part of the garage, because I really need to start getting on with the Jaguar XK. I've got lots and lots of parts, everything's prepared for it, but I can guarantee there'll be loads of things that I don't have, and I have to either go back to the UK or go to Holland or somewhere. But there's going to be loads of bits and pieces. There's thousands of pieces in a car, and it's near impossible to get everything ordered and have it up front. There's going to be screws and BA screws, nuts and bolts, all kinds of stuff that you just don't consider. I have bought all the kind of major stuff, and fortunately I bought it when I first bought the car, or when I saw the car and bought it. I bought everything very early on, so some of the stuff is 4 or 5 years old, brand new, but I bought it at the right time because now the prices have skyrocketed. For instance, the chassis that I bought, and I brought it over with the car, I think was £2,200. I think now they're over 5,000, so it just shows you. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. So I've got this in the metal brake. This is what I'm going to make the French lights, or the internal light box for the number plate and for the lights to go on. So I've got it in, unfortunately this is a very small metal brake, but I'll just do what I've got. So I've got it lined up. What I'll do now is I'll bring this to a 45. You can do exactly the same thing with some angle iron and just use clamps. Make sure it's lined up nice. Nice if you've got an over centre one or a long throat. This one is not really wide enough, but it will do the job. I'll just bring that back a bit more. Again, another 45. A little bit over centre there. Okay, so now I've got the 2 lines on the inside for the flanges. So what I'll do is I'll remark these at 2 centimetres and actually pop it in that way. Now it looks like it won't fit, but I'll bring it back and I'll show you what I mean after I've marked it. Okay, so I've got this marked up now on the outside on both sides. So what I'll do is put this in. Just clamp it down. It would have been better if I did it the other way around, but you've got to do it twice then. And it's only the flange to spot weld onto the back, so. There we go, there's one flange on it, do the other now. Only a better kit, but it would have been better with a bigger throat on it. Again, 45. That's just done. Okay, there's the channel. Easy enough. Okay, so I've made the two box sections up. They're exactly 1 metre long when they're joined together, so they'll be joined, as you can see, so pretty much a spot on fit there. The flanges are a little bit different, but I've got to cut them down to 1. I just need enough to... The problem if you're making a small flange like this is if you cut it too short, it won't grip in the metal brake, so you've got to make it a little bit longer and then trim it to, so I'll trim them down to probably 1.5 centimetres. I don't want too much stick up because they've got to go on the back of this ribbing. They're going to catch here, so I don't want to weld them there. I want to weld them on the flat piece. You can see there. So the overall length will be 90. So I've used this old bit of tape. It's actually from putting electrical attention, telecommunication. I think they put that down when down over the cables of pipe work, so that if a digger hits it, they see it. I think it's a metre above it, whatever. Anyway, it'll do the job. So I've worked it out. If I leave 9 centimetres on each end here and 5 centimetres in, there should be enough. When I cut this out, I cut this piece out here, there should be enough to put this into the stretcher and stretch this round and for it to meet in the middle, hopefully, if I've done my calculation right. And then all I've got to do then is weld it and weld this edge, and the same on the other end. As you can see, I made a couple of mistakes there until I got it right, because I've worked out what it is around that circumference. So I'll cut this one up first, so I know where I am. So basically what I'm going to do now is cut a line right down that edge, cut this one out, cut this one, and then I'll put this in the stretcher and I'll show you what I'm doing with it. So I'll cut this up first. I'll have to trim it, of course, but I want to see how it looks, so I'm going to cut it on the inside edge. So I've cut it just on the inside edge. What I'll do now is I'll use this cutter to go in and make the circle. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So basically we end up with that. So what I'll do now is I'll clean this up, put these in the shrinker and shrink these round and see how they come out, and I'll show you what it looks like when I've got it cleaned up. I'll start about there. Oh, sorry, stretch it, not shrink it. So effectively what I'm doing is stretching this bead at the end, which will make this come in. Instead of cutting it, you could cut it if you don't have a stretcher or a shrinker. What you could do is just cut it and it'll open it up and make smaller tabs. It'll come out the same way, but with this way I end up with a flange that's complete all the way around. I'll show you what it's like when we're done. Side, I've ended up actually splitting it like I talked about earlier. I could keep going with it, but you can get to the point where you stretch it too thin, and I have to cut down that flange anyway. But as you can see, it's a pretty good fit all the way around. it's catching on the edge. So what I'll do is I'll just tack weld that in, and then I can make the other side. I know I was actually about 3 or 4 mil out. It was a bit of an overlap. So, but 90 is what I want for 2 pieces, and I'll weld them in the middle. But there we are. So I'll get this tack welded, and then I'll shape it a bit better. Once again, I got this tacked together, not very well, but I'll go over all these welds once I get the MIG gas on Monday, hopefully Monday morning. I'll have to drive up to Graz. It's about 100 k's there and back, but I desperately need it because this TIG gas just doesn't work worth a shit. So, as I said, it's only basically tacked together, and that seems to fit quite well. And that's done. It's not a cap properly yet, and as I said, they'll go in there. That'll go across this with that centerpiece there, and then the lights will go there somewhere. Should look quite nice. What I'll do though, because in Austria our number plates clip in, and you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like little clips here that you push in. So there, and that's what holds the number plate in place. There's 2 at one each end. So you basically put the number plate in, these springs hold against it, the clip on the top here and here. So obviously, with that being in there like that, I'm not going to be able to do it. So what I'll do is I'll put a metal backing behind it, and then put self-tapping screws either end. So you could just undo the 4 screws, take this out, put the plate in, and then Bob's your auntie. Yeah, so it's just a quick mock-up of what it will look like. This top panel has to be cut down, but I think that'll look nice, that insert. I've just put it with self-tappers at the moment because I want to weld the inset box, or the French lighting, whatever you want to call it. You can see up in the corner there, there's light coming through. But I want to weld it all first, get it nice, and then I'll weld it into place with the spot welder. But I think that's going to look nice. And then what I'll do then is on these corners here, I'll get a flat piece of bar, I'll put a 90 in it, and then stretch it down to this corner so it's rounded here, so it goes over the edge, and I'll do the same on that corner and 2 on the front, which will be straight. But with that rounded piece going down, I think that'll look nice. So there we are. So I think I'm going to call it a day. It's coming up for the weekend. So as usual, stay safe, keep the faith, enjoy your hobby, and I'll catch you next week. Hopefully we'll have some gas by then. Bye for now.